Hi everybody. I was asked to kind of give a little bit of background of how I got into yoga and how it's affected my life and why I would recommend it to everybody else. And first off, I'm just going to say I don't recommend it to everybody else because what's going to be good for you and what really makes you happy isn't always going to be what is good for somebody else. So, I'm just going to put that out there. Anyways, how it started for me was after I had my son, I did want to tighten everything up a bit, but it was already pretty small. So I didn't want to burn off what little bit of meat I had on my bones left. And I got it in my head that for some reason yoga was going to do that for me because I didn't realize there was like intense sequences of yoga. I just thought it was basically stretching on steroids. And so I got into it a little bit then, and I didn't really commit to it too much. I was pretty busy, and I had a lot of other things that I allowed to run my life, like alcohol and that kind of thing was more of my focus back then. I did end up coming across a yoga video by Bob Harper. My sister had a DVD of his yoga video a couple years later, and I just started doing it a couple times a week. And I'm gonna be honest with you, back then I would get about 15-20 minutes in and cut it there. I was like, oh, this is so painful. uh, I'm good for today, and then go on with my day. And I did give up a lot, but it did get easier over time. Like, as much as I gave up short way through the video, I'd keep coming back to it and see if I could get a little bit further and a little bit further, and eventually I could do the whole video, sweaty as all and in pain. Sometimes swearing at the TV, but you know, it just got easier and easier, and eventually it actually got to the point where I was like hanging out in the poses. And I'm not going to say that's going to happen for everyone, but I'm just naturally pretty flexible as it is. So when you are more flexible, you can actually cheat in yoga and not really do the work, where you're just like, okay, I'm going to put my hand on the ground and hang out here like la-di-da. And that's why in my videos I'm going to really stress how to use your posture and keep your form, because pulling in those accessory muscles and really keeping your alignment is what's going to make this work for your body. So you're not just cheating and hanging out in the poses, because what's the point in even working out if you're just going to breeze through it half-fast? Anyways, what really was the turning point for me is my friend Jake came to visit us in Alberta, and he brought his girlfriend, and she had previously done a yoga teacher training in Kelowna, and one of her friends, I believe, was associated with that studio. They had a branch off of that studio in Sylvan Lake, of all places. So we went and did a 1 hour and 15-minute yoga flow, hot yoga at like 8 in the morning. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I don't think I've ever sweat so much in my entire life. But even though during that sweaty, exhausting workout, you're just like, oh my gosh, is this teacher gonna let this class end yet? Like, when is it over? Afterwards, the euphoria was amazing. My body just felt like a billion times lighter, and I don't mean like weight lighter, but it just felt like I had just gotten all this yucky energy and just pushed it right out of my body. And that was, I think, the biggest turning point for me is when I actually went into the studio and had someone there pushing me and showing me how to correct my form. And yeah, big deal if you're flexible, like, this is how you do it, and let me tell you, it doesn't make it harder. So I started going to that studio afterwards quite frequently and made a lot of friends there, and it was like almost almost replaced my need to go to smoking weed or drinking when I was stressed out. For me, it was a way to kind of escape. I don't want to say escape, but like really deal with what was going on in my life and what the emotions that I was feeling that maybe weren't so easy, and just have some sort of outlet to release that in a healthy way without, blaming other people or spiraling in my own head, conspiracies of what other people thinking of me and what's wrong with me and blah blah blah. And my mat became kind of almost like a church where I could go and pour out my emotions without actually having to talk to anybody, and let my body do the work and really ground me. And I don't know what all the studios are like. I haven't been really to any other ones, but the teachers at this studio really integrated life lessons and different perspectives of looking at things into the actual practice. So at first it was just noise as you're, sweating and wishing she would let you out of a chair pose. And after a while, it really started to come to play in my everyday life, and it actually has changed my perspective on things quite significantly, where I can say I'm definitely not the person I was 5, 10, 15 years ago. In fact, if I went back and seen who that was, I probably wouldn't even get along with old me. And a lot of it had to do with yoga, and I didn't expect that. I didn't go into it for some sort of spiritual awakening or anything. I'm not saying that's what it's going to trigger in you, but for me, it's really more than just working out or being skinny or anything superficial. For me, it's like I'm not having the greatest day. I might get a little bit worked up about something someone said to me, and instead of stewing on that and recycling it over and over in my brain and really beating myself up about it, I get on my mat, I do my yoga, and I just feel better after. And that's not to say that's just a cure-all and everything's gonna go away. I would still recommend doing a lot of self-work in whichever way you see fit, to reflect on why you're thinking the things that you think, why you're beating yourself up, why you don't feel good enough. I mean, I think everybody's awesome in their own way, and I know a lot of people don't actually think that about themselves, and I hope to bring yoga to people so that they can find an outlet to feel better about themselves, love themselves a little more, not go so hard on themselves, because no one's perfect, and who the hell wants to be perfect anyways? That sounds super freaking boring. So anyways, that is why I decided to start this channel. It is profoundly affected my life, my personality, and the relationships that I have with the people around me. And I hope it can do the same for you. Bye guys, love you.